Now, before we begin, I just want to say I apologize for this mop. You know, my mom's a hairdresser, and while I've been living in Japan, she actually cuts all my hair. But because she lives a while away, and this whole Corona thing's been going on, she's like, no, please don't come. So, it is what it is, but I'll get it sorted as soon as possible. Now, I'm sure you've already been blasted with all the news and videos, but just in case you haven't, let me catch you up to speed. A few days ago, Canon announced some of the official specs for their brand new EOS R5. EOS R5? EOS? Now you may be asking yourself, like, why is this even a big deal? Cameras get released every year. Why is this a big deal? Well, because if you follow any of this camera war jargon, I think that's the first time I used that word. I don't even think it's correct. If you follow any of this camera war stuff, it feels like Canon has been sleeping on their customers for the last few years and letting other brands take ahead. But we all know the story of the rabbit and the turtle. Was it a tortoise? I can't remember, but we all know that story. And sometimes slow and steady might actually win the race. And this camera right here might be the answer to all our prayers and be the perfect camera. What is going on, guys? My name is Uppy. I'm a photographer and filmmaker currently based in beautiful Kyoto, Japan. And on this channel, I create videos where I share my insights and lessons I've learned from my own journey, and hopefully it helps you guys out as well. So in this video, I'm going to be comparing all the specs of the R5 to the GH5 because that has been my camera of choice for the last couple of years. But anyways, without further ado, let's jump right into it. Now, starting off, I think the first thing that completely shocked the world is the fact that the EOS R5 will have the ability to shoot 8K uncropped at 30 frames per second. Like, my mind can't even comprehend just what that means. Like, what kind of detail with that footage have? Like, that is absolutely insane. And to add a little bit of a cherry on top, they also decided to include 4K at 120 frames per second. Now, most of the things I shoot is in 1080, and I think most of the things you watch online as well is in 1080p, but that's absolutely crazy because when the GH5 first got announced, everyone was going crazy about the fact that it could do 4K 60. So the fact that the EOS R5 will be able to do 4K 120 frames, and on top of that 8K, that is, I'm speechless. Next is the autofocus. Now, this doesn't sound like an exciting new crazy feature if you're already familiar with Canon's legendary dual pixel autofocus. That's a mouthful. So when the GH5 first got released, it had absolutely terrible autofocus, and now it's at a point where it's acceptable to make these YouTube videos and such. But anytime I'm on a professional shoot, I've just naturally fallen into the habit of using manual focus just because I've never relied on it to capture what I actually want it to capture. So having reliable autofocus sounds so amazing to me because it makes my job a whole lot easier. I think to this day, the GH5 might have some of the best, if not the best, Inbody Stabilisation on the market. And this being Canon's first camera that has this feature is really exciting. Now, personally for me, I don't like using gimbals or stabilizers a whole lot when I'm out on shoots. I like the ability to whip out a camera and capture those candid moments. So having the ability to have smooth Inbody Stabilisation is definitely a must for me. Now, again, this isn't some crazy new feature, and most cameras should have this in this day and age. But when the EOS R first got released, the thing that really held me back from buying it in the first place was the fact that it only had one SD card slot. Now, as you guys know, I shoot a lot of weddings on the side as well, and so these are moments that only happen once in a lifetime. Well, hopefully. I love the idea of having two card slots and that ease of mind that everything is being backed up, because I have had SD cards fail in the past, and luckily it wasn't during anything important, but just the fact that I've had that experience of an SD card failing, that thought will always be in the back of your mind whenever you're shooting. So 2 SD cards for me now is definitely a must. And in the Canon EOS R5, they'll be using 1 SD card and 1 CF Express. And I assume they need the CF Express card for the 8K footage, but it'll be very interesting to see how they work together. Another thing that makes Canon so great is the out-of-camera Canon colors. Now, when I'm out on professional shoots, I use a Canon 5D Mark III, and I absolutely love that thing. And I don't think Canon has officially announced how many megapixels the Canon EOS R5 will have, but people have been saying that it'll be around 45 megapixels. And personally for me, if it had even close to that, I'll be very happy. Now, when I'm shooting a wedding day, I use 2 Lumix GH5s for video and 2 Canon 5D Mark IIIs for photo. And if you add all of the tripods and stabilizers and drones and mics and yada, 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 it actually becomes quite a heavy setup and a lot to manage and carry. Now, I'm sure there are a lot smarter ways to go about the setup that I use, but for a long time now, I've been wanting to lighten the load and have a camera that not only shoots amazing videos, but photos as well. So with all of the video specs that have been announced for the R5, plus the brand new CMOS full frame sensor with the brand new RF lenses as well, I'm sure this is going to be an all around amazing camera. If you're excited for the brand new R5 as well, please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down which feature you're most excited for. Before we wrap up, I just wanted to mention, as you guys know, I'm a big believer that the best camera you have is the one you own. And I would never recommend to anyone to rush out and buy the newest piece of gear just because it's new and shiny and has these crazy specs. Yes, the R5 has some really exciting features such as the 8K video capabilities, but in all honesty, I'll probably never even use that. For a lot of the work that I do, 4K and even sometimes 1080 is completely acceptable. And even the 4K 120 frames per second, for my GH5, it shoots 120 frames per second in 1080p, but I've actually never used it. So then again, it shows you that it's not a necessity. I just want to say this because I never want people to use their camera or the lack of gear be an excuse to not start. Even if you only just have an iPhone, just go out there and just start making stuff. The only time I'd ever recommend for anyone to upgrade their gear is when the camera or the gear you own is restricting you in some way to push the boundaries of your current creative ability. So if you want to know what I think is the best all-around camera that offers a ton of value at a very reasonable price, click this video in the corner and it'll take you straight there. Yes, I am very excited for the R5, extremely excited, and I feel like this has been the camera that I've been waiting for a very long time. And I'll probably be selling a lot of the gear that I own currently to pick up one of these. But until then, let's just continue to make stuff with what we have. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.